So tell us about your book.
Well, I mean, it was intended to be a hip-hop fan's ride and journey through the music business as I saw it. And my goal really, as an overall, was to kind of keep what we were doing legendary, was trying to keep it on track and trying to make it go to the next plateau. And that's what I was saying about rap as a whole, is it's every artist and every producer's job to push what we do a little bit forward. And that's really what it was to say, look at all these cool things that happen that I just happened to be there to see. Because I was just really lucky. I mean, I was a thirsty fan that just wanted to see everything. And everybody knew that. So anytime something cool was happening, they'd call me up and say, hey, Dame, come see this. And I just wanted to document it. But because I was also a powerful music executive, I guess, it just got into, well, you know, I was involved in a lot of those things, so some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, you know, people were concerned about. Because I guess, you know, with the struggle and things like that, I mean, some of the things weren't seen, and, you know, I saw them, so they thought, okay, he's going to tell some of the rough stuff that, you know, we don't want people to see. I mean, and it wasn't something where I wanted it to be the Wizard of Oz, where I pulled back the curtain and said, look, it's just this little fat guy in the corner. You know, I mean, it wasn't that kind of thing. It's just, you know, I just wanted to show a hip-hop fan's ride, and it really turned into something silly. But, I lost touch. When I retired. I surrendered everything. I just said, I'm done. I didn't call anybody. I changed my numbers and just went back to being Damion Young in Santa Barbara. So I didn't really think of the concept and the consequences of saying anything about anything. I just looked at it like, hey, here it is. But I forgot that other people would be concerned.
So would you say you received any negative flack from releasing this book?
Oh, of course. And you know, I mean, there was some there wasn't any flack on the book. Everybody said the book was a great read, and you know, there hasn't been any negative feedback on the book itself. But on the press and the what ifs, there's been a lot. And it's just, you know, you know, I have an unnerving problem with being blunt. I tell you what I feel and what I've seen and all of those kind of things. With the book, that's why I went to a co-writer, J. Marshall Craig, because I wanted to not sanitize it or candy coat it, but I wanted to make sure that it stayed intact with the story of a hip-hop fan and the ride and what it was really about. I didn't want to get into a lot of the personal or negative or any of those kind of things. I wanted to keep it a little bit personal so you could relate to it as a human being, but also tell you the story of some of these amazing moments that I saw. And it press-wise got away from that. Because that's what the press is, the media is. If you say you dated the prom queen, it doesn't matter if you won the football game and you were the quarterback. Right. That disappears, and then it becomes about the gossip. And that's where it got messed up. And you know, people feed into that, and then lawyers get involved, and then it gets stupid.
Has anyone or anybody in particular approached you on certain parts of the book or issues that may have derived from the book about authentic or not?
You know what? It's interesting because just this week, I guess Interscope Records was reaching out to some of the people that I did press with and said that some of the parts of the just the Mariah stuff wasn't true, but that came from her. But everybody in this industry saw what was in the book. So, it's not like they could back it up. They can't. That's why, honestly, why I haven't been sued. Because at the end of the day, everything that I said is true. So, if they haul me into court, you're going to sue me for telling the truth? And then they're just going to get me to tell more of the truth, and then everybody's screwed.
Right.
I mean, okay, you want me to tell the real story? I mean, this is just an overview of what happened. You know what I mean? You want me to go into detail? Like, but it's interesting to me that no one is approaching me directly. No one's calling me directly. No one's saying anything to me directly. No one picks up the phone and says, hey, what's the deal? It's like I'll get a hit through Facebook, or I'll get an email from a lawyer where my publicist will call me and say, so-and-so said this. It'll be like, dude, like, I mean, say something to me. Like, do you disagree with it? And you mentioned something about getting into the Steve Lobel thing, and I apologize to Steve. I didn't mean any disrespect. He's a legend. You know, he's a he road managed Run DMC. I mean, you know, one of my greatest freaking moments in my life was sitting there playing craps with him and Jam Master Jay in Reno at a radio show. And we did great work with Bone Thugs and Harmony, and you know, what I was trying to say, and I guess it got a little messed up, is there was a situation where Steve and I faced some adversity. I handled it one way, he handled it another way, but he ended up doing business and working with the people that he had an issue with, and he worked out those issues. So it was the perfect example of the negotiation and compromise, and keeping it 100 and saying, no, you know, here was our issues, here's what was said, here's what the consequences were, that's great, let's work together. And that's what I love about Steve. But it got to a situation, and what really kind of hurt my feelings about it was like, I've known Steve for 10, almost 12, 15 years, something like that. So it was like, you're sending me an email on Facebook to get my story straight, but you're not calling me? Or just saying, hey, I want to talk to you, what happened with this? Right. I didn't mean anything negative to you. I was saying, here's the situation, and that's it. But I guess that's the problem with me, is when I tell the situation, I just tell you point blank what happened. I don't candy cone it. I don't say nothing. Here's what happened. Boom, I almost got shot. Great. This is what happened. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, it's just, that's it. It's the same way I tell the story of Biggie said this, or Pac said this, or Jay-Z said this, and that's it. But a lot of times people want to say, and I'm not saying Steve, let's move on from that story. Anybody doesn't want to say really what happened, because there's this gloss and this allure of how they want you to think it happened and what their story is and what they've been saying. So they need the stars to align to their fit. And sometimes other people's perception of that isn't the same.
Right.
And people get upset when somebody else says something, and then they want to have an issue with them. And a lot of times, it's not even that they want to have an issue with them, it's that they missed them, or they don't know how to say, hey man, can we hang out, or something like that. Instead, they want to create a beef so they can make up, because that's the G thing to do.
Very true. So, what can the readers take from your book, whether they're in the industry or not?
That anyone can do it. If a white boy from Santa Barbara can have a dream and change hip-hop, then anyone can. And make it through this system of street and business. I mean, the music business is worse than the crack game, bro. It really is. So it's like, seriously, you're dealing with a lot of money, you're dealing with heavy egos, and you're dealing with an element that is based in gangster. I mean, the music business was founded on criminal enterprise. Let's just be real.
Right.
I mean, the business model was taken from the dope game. Front a little bit of money, burn whoever is the first line of every record contract is, we engage into this agreement to exploit said artist's work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, they pay them, $100,000, something like that, and, or $50,000, whatever it is, the rate is to record an album, or an album budget. They say they're going to do one video. They give you a royalty rate of 12%. They charge everything back to you that you have to recoup at that 12% rate. So they keep you in debt. It's a filthy bank loan. There's no way you can get out of it. The only way that you can renegotiate that is to be successful, and then hit them for more advance money, which just puts you more in debt. because the only way that you're going to get it is by holding them over a barrel, saying, I'm not going to give you any more crack until you pay up for the last batch.
Right.
And then they only give you pennies on the dollar anyway because, you know, they hold up these statements where a record rep took a DJ out to dinner in a strip club, and it's $1,000 bill, but you have to recoup it 12 cents on the dollar.
Right.
Or 12 cents on $10. You know, it's like, there's no way to win.
No.
And it's designed to keep the artist in debt so that they can continue to mine in that field.
Very true. You hit on it a little bit when we were talking about Nocturnal and everything, but if you could, I mean, what message would you convey to any up-and-coming producers and I'm just talking about in producers in particular versus recording artists themselves?
Get ready for a lot of BS. I mean, because it's like, I mean, the producer is usually the person that has to deal with everything. I mean, the producer... See, it's evolved a lot what a producer is. A producer now is someone who made the beat. That's it. You know, a producer back in the day was Quincy Jones. Not only did he produce the music, but he produced the vocal, he did the mix with the engineer, he did, you know, everything. And evolved the product to a cohesive thought. But now it's kind of gotten disjointed. And what I would say to any new producer is study the grades. You know, see what they did, how they did it. I mean, when I got into production, I mean, I wanted to know everything. I read the credits, but that's the problem, is there are no credits anymore. So you can't find out what studio it was recorded at. You can't find out who was the guitar player. I mean, that's the way we did it. I mean, when I got to LA, the first thing that I did was found all the musicians that played on all my favorite records.
Like Stan the Guitar Man and all those guys, huh?
Oh, hell yeah. Stan the Guitar Man was a freaking legend. You know, Michael Schlesinger, who mixed Dear Mama, So Many Tears. You have Vodchek, who did all of the Ice-T stuff and the early sound of West Coast hip-hop. I mean, these are legends.
Right.
I mean, and you had to go find those people and then ask them, you know, what was this drum sound? How did you tweak that? And what kind of board did you use? I mean, it was done at Westlake. Okay, it was done on a Neve board. Okay, cool. Like what EQs outboard EQs did you use? Did you run it through an LA2A compressor, or what kind of compressor was it? Was there a GML on the back end? You could ask all of those questions, and they were approachable. Now you don't know who did what.
Right. You know, one of my favorite producers is a good friend of mine, and it's Prodigy from South Central Cartel. He uses live instruments. He's a great producer. He had a great opportunity with Def Jam, and just a great guy.
I mean, amazing producer. And not just that, but South Central Cartel, I mean, they kind of made that sound, that really thick, like, I mean, he made a change in the sound. He made everything thick, and I don't think anybody really gives him the credit for that. He brought something new to the game. He brought that really big, wide sound. The South Central Cartel music was huge. There was nothing thin about those records. From beginning to end, when you put those things in, your speakers were going to get blown if you didn't turn that stuff down.
All right.
And it would hit so hard, and everybody would just be